Hello, everybody. Lewis, Norwich City Central, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope you're all doing well. It's great to be here. It's great to be back. And I'm joined by Doeke. Doeke, how are you doing, mate?
Very well, mate. Very, very well. Still recovering from Everton. Glad I'm not going to Burnley this weekend. Really, really glad I'm not going. Apart from the football, I've been great. But yeah.
Well, we forget that terrible away record, don't we? Where, of course, last season in the Premier League, we only won one away game in which Dennis Shubreni scored a 95th minute goal to seal the game. And obviously, you go to most away days, Doeke, and that was one of the few away days you missed in the Premier League, which you could have gone to. So maybe it could be a good luck charm that you're not going to Burnley.
I'm not going to Burnley, yeah. So we'll probably win now. I mean, I think I can remember prior to COVID in that Premier League season, I've done every away day apart from Burnley in the Cup, Preston in the Cup, and Everton in the league. We won in 90 minutes as well. So every away game I went to, we did not win in 90 minutes. But every away game I missed, we won in 90 minutes. So maybe.
And the last away day I think you've seen us win is Aston Villa back in
in 90 minutes to the league
title. And that was my last away day as well. And you've been to a lot more than me, so it says maybe more about your bad luck.
He's got bad luck, haven't I? Because obviously Spurs away we won, but Spurs, won on penalties, can't really count it. But certainly my away day luck just isn't great.
Yes. Hopefully we're gonna get a win, and hopefully Norwich's fortunes can change. In this one, I mean, normally we do these kind of on the Sunday or the Monday. But this one, we're getting close to the weekend. We're getting close to the Burnley games. This can be a little bit of a preview as well, but we will recap on the Liverpool and the Everton game. We'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out. And check out Doeke. His channel link will be in the description below. Should we talk about Liverpool? How much do you want to talk about Liverpool, mate?
We can touch on it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Liverpool was woeful. It was seriously woeful, Lewis. There's one player that can come out of that game with their head held high. That was Billy Gilmour. I thought he was fantastic in that game. The formation suited him. But the fact is, we changed formation. We didn't change the system at all. We still try to play out from the back and run ourselves into our own mistakes. And it just did not work. I just wasn't a fan at all, Lewis, at Liverpool at home. I just really didn't enjoy it. I thought, again, it was woeful. The penalty miss as well from Zolis. I don't know what's going on there. I think
never trusted down the middle.
No, I think Farkas outing him in the press. I can see why he's done it. I can see why Daniel Farkas has done it, because he does need to learn his lesson. But he also needs to touch on the real issues at the club at the minute. Defensively, we're absolutely fucking atrocious, Lewis, and he hasn't touched on it at all in any press conferences. Yeah, you go on, slag Zolis off for having a bit of bollocks to go up and take the pen. Yeah, he maybe shouldn't have done it. But also, if you're going to do that, speak about the real issues in that game defensively. We were absolutely shambolic against Liverpool defensively. That effectively, apart from about 3-4 players in that team, that was literally an under 23 team.
Yeah. So it was all over the shop. I think the big thing to come out of that game, of course, was that change in formation. We've seen Farkas obviously be so successful with the 4-2-3-1. He changed it to the 4-3-3 this season. Clearly wasn't working, so he's changed to a back five, and essentially what he's done is he's taken a one of our attacking players, whether that be a Rashika or one of those attacking players, and put a centre back in his place. Tried to make us more solid, but we're still conceding goals and we're still all over the place. So whether a 5 at the back system is going to work, I'm really not convinced at all by it. I think that we still try and play out from the back, which is commendable. But there's really no outball, and touching on the Everton game, particularly that first half where it was absolutely woeful. We'd pass it around the back, a few passes around the back, no player connecting the midfield, so it would just go long to Pukki or Sargent, and we'd lose the ball. And I think that's kind of what the one positive was from the Liverpool game. The second half was atrocious, but the first half, Billy Gilmour was connecting the play up nicely, and we got a couple of counter attacks. But yeah, touching on that Liverpool game again, of course, we saw that change in formation. You mentioned there was no change in system, though. Can you not see it working at all, mate?
No, there was no change in system. We're still trying to play out from the back and run ourselves into our own mistakes. The main issues are creating chances, which we've taken an attacking player and put them into the defence. And the reason why I put more defenders in is to stop conceding goals. We've conceded 5 in 2 games, Lewis, and not scored any. So like the formation isn't working. The system hasn't been changed because we still can't defend and we still can't score goals. We're still trying to play out from the back. We're still creating our own mistakes. And, we're literally gifting teams wins. We're gifting them wins now. Every team this season will go up, go against Norwich and think, that's an easy 3 points. That's an easy 3 points. And the fact is, no one's surprised we are where we are. No one is surprised. That's the worst thing about it. We should be coming up from the Premier League and actually putting up a little bit of a fight, making people think, oh, hang on, Norwich could stay up this season. They could prove people wrong. We're just not a surprise package at all. We're boring. We are boring. Like, every team in this league hates us because every time we go up, we do just go down. And I don't know if it's Daniel Farkas because I don't know if it's Delia. I don't know what it is. But look, we've got the players in to stay up. Quality-wise, we have players that can keep us in the Premier League. The system on the pitches isn't working. Daniel Farkas, for me, he's lost the plot. Absolutely lost the plot. Wow. Before the start of the season, he's lost the plot. He's absolutely got rid of the formation that's won 2 league titles in the Championship and just decided to start with something that he's never used before in a 4-3-3. I don't see it, Lewis. I don't see it. I just what's he getting at? What are Norwich City at the minute? You know what I mean? There's no identity to the club anymore.
I love the comment there on the identity. Can we just go back a few weeks ago where we was talking about a European tour with Ozan Kabak heading it up? Can we just go back to that chat? I'd love that.
I wish I could bring that back up, but no, I'm not confident.
You summed it up really well, mate. I think. Yeah, I mean, you hate to keep looking at examples, but if you look at Watford and Brentford, look, they still might go down, but take how Brentford have approached it with confidence, with a real aggression, taking the games to the team. They got a really commendable 3-3 draw against Liverpool, and they look really good. And they haven't spent any more money than us. They finished 15 points behind us in the Championship table, but they're doing things the right way. And Watford have started reasonably well as well. You touched on some really good comments there, and I like the one about the identity because I mean, I get that Daniel Farkas wanted to change things, and I like the change. We've made a lot of signings, and I like that, and I like that. I think we had to make changes, but the system and the way we've changed things this season we haven't changed things, and it's been absolutely terrible, and everyone looks lost, and there's no game plan or, as you say, identity on the pitch. Which is really, really worrying. And the Liverpool game, that second half was atrocious, where we'd almost given up and Liverpool were in cruise control. Then we have the Everton game, of course. And for the first time, I think in a league match, I think Daniel Farkas starts that back five with Kabak, Gibson. Gibson comes back in and Hanley. You have your fullbacks, Williams and Aarons, and then that midfield three of Norman, Lees-Malou and Kenny McLean, which we'll get into, and then Sargent and Pookie up front. What did you make of that team, mate? And what if that's kind of the type of team we're going to see going forward? How do you feel, mate?
Grant Hanley needs to be dropped. Grant Hanley needs to be dropped. He's been absolutely awful from the start of the season. So that's the first change. Midfield, why is Billy Gilmour not started? The one good player from Wednesday hasn't started. Pierre Lees-Malou was an absolute shadow against Liverpool. Did nothing. Start Billy Gilmour. You've got Matthias Norman and Kenny McLean who can do the tall physical work. Now you need someone who's going to carry the ball forward. Lees-Malou isn't. Billy Gilmour is. That's who you start. I like Pookie and Sargent up top. I'm a big fan of that. But they had no support. It was just lump it long and hit and hope, really.
It was embarrassing, some of the long balls where we was trying to play out from the back. You'd have no midfield anchors, so we was kind of resorted to hitting it up the pitch. And what's Pookie going to do up against Mina and Godfrey as well? That was just that lack of game plan really shocked me. Let's get some of the comments before we talk a little bit about Everton. Billy Dalton, Lewis, 7th Premier League loss incoming. Yeah, I mean, there's a good possibility of it, mate. We never know.
Oh, definitely. I'd put my savings on it.
Layla, if you lose to Burnley and Brighton, does he have to go because Chelsea is a nailed-on defeat? Well, a lot of people would start to say that, and of course, Will he go realistically though? I mean, I doubt it. He signed a 4-year contract, but
for me personally, if we lose to Burnley on Saturday, I'm 100% Farkas out, 100%. I want him to succeed. Every Norwich fan wants Daniel Farkas to succeed, but if you're in the absolute state that we're in after a very, very positive summer, may I add, how quickly that state of mind has changed, you've got to then ask questions, right? Something needs to change, and for me, it's the manager, because he's not changing the system up. Yes, he's changing formation, but we're still blind to the fact that he hasn't changed the system. We're still trying to play out from the back when we're simply not good enough to do so. We need to be nastier. We need to be more aggressive on the pitch, and we're not. We're trying to play like we're like Man City when realistically we're not. We're Norwich. We need to try and step in the league by grafting 1-0 wins, keeping clean sheets, scoring goals when they're at the most important, and we just can't. We can't seem to just do anything in this league apart from losing games.
And you know me, I'm a massive Daniel Farkas lover, and I mean, there's been times where, ironically, kind of in every season, Daniel Farkas has been under pressure. In his first season, he had a terrible start. In that 18-19 title-winning season, he had a poor start. And even in that championship season last year, he didn't have the best of starts. So there's always been times when he's been a little bit under pressure. Ironically, the one time wasn't that Premier League season, his first Premier League season, where we beat Man City and Newcastle at the start. But for me, I've never wanted Daniel Farkas out at one point. I've always wanted patience, and some of the comments about him, leaving early on in his tenure was wrong in my opinion. But for me, I am very close now to getting on that Daniel Farkas out, and I hate to say it because he's been one of our most successful manager, and I love the guy. And I'm sure if Norwich City were to get relegated down to the Championship and Farkas was still there, he'd be a perfect candidate to take Norwich back up. But the circumstances and the context around it is different this time. When we got relegated that first Premier League season, a narrative I disagree with, but a narrative that they portrayed is Norwich weren't good enough to stay up. And that was fair enough. It was Daniel Farkas' first season, but we're in his fifth season now. The money we've spent, Norwich's goal is to try and be competitive and stay up in the Premier League. And if they can't do that under Daniel Farkas, then what's the point? So for me, it's massive for Daniel Farkas these next few games. Will he go? He probably might not. Do you reckon he'll actually go, Doeke, even if we had to go on a terrible run, because he's signed that contract? Do you think Webber would pull the plug?
Webber's pulled the plug before. We've got to remember this. Webber's no mug. Webber is no mug. If he knows that Daniel isn't up to the task, he will get rid of Daniel. That's simply how he's going to do it. I'm pretty sure Stuart's in the same mind. He's saying to Daniel Farkas right now, look, you've got this many games to change things around. If not, you're out. Farkas is going to be under an immense amount of pressure now, but he's got himself to blame because he's not adapted to a league he's been in for 38 games prior to the season. He has not adapted, and that's his own fault. So he's only got himself to blame if he does get the sack.
Yeah, and I think we've only won like 5 Premier League games in his 45 games. I think it is 44, 45 games.
So that's games. Trying to think. Yeah, Man City, Newcastle, Everton, Bournemouth, and Leicester.
Count them on one hand, mate. Count them on one hand. But I agree with a lot of that. Jeff, thanks for joining the live stream, mate. I agree with Doeke about Zolis and the penalty. The defence is the issue. I think Norwich need 4 points from the next 2 games. Yeah, totally agree. And that Zolis kind of penalty outburst was definitely papering over the cracks. But we've spoken about a little bit about Farkas. Let's go back to that Everton game. What was kind of your assessment kind of that first half? Because for me, it was the second half. I think there's some positives to take. I mean, you're clutching at straws, but that first half was poor, and we probably deserved to go 1-0 down in that half.
Yeah, no, it was atrocious. We couldn't get out our own half. It's really hard to add on it because there's no positives and there's just negative. I think from Kabak on was it on Townsend as well? I think it was Allen. That summed it up. Like, it was so lazy, so like, it was just awful. And as soon as it happened, I was like, Stonewall penalty. It's just clumsy, it's stupid, it's lazy from Kabak. You know, he needs to be better than that. He needs to be better if he wants to. You know, Liverpool fans are raving about him, and you know he's tipped as this great youngster that's going to be, you know, a European giant one day. At centre half, you know, he needs to be better, a lot better. And we've got good players, we've got Premier League quality players. Just Daniel Farkas is not getting the best out of them.
Well, I mean, realistically, from a Norwich City perspective, realistically, Norwich are not going to sign a better centre back than Kabak. You know, that's a brilliant bit of business in terms of, you know,
we know he's better than what. This is the thing. We know he's better than how he's playing. It's the same with Grant Hanley at the minute. We know Grant Hanley's good enough because he proved it multiple times 2 seasons ago. So why is it now that we're not getting the best out of him? And yeah, look, that Everton first half was absolutely woeful. Yeah, I don't think we really had a shot. Second half was a bit better. You know, Matthias Norman, again, one of the only sort of bright sparks. Yeah, you know, he wasn't afraid to shoot from range. You know, he likes a long shot. But then
that was nice.
Kenny McLean losing the ball in midfield, man, that was poor. You know, he kept again playing into your own mistakes, keep holding the ball too long, like just quick. You're not going to beat teams by trying to pass it around them very, very slowly. This isn't the Championship. These Premier League teams will be on you like that. So you've got to play it quicker than what he did, and he's lost the ball. Decore's gone and scored. Everyone's out of position, and by that point, I think as soon as that Senegal went in, I walked out.
Heads down, heads dropped. Yeah.
75th minute. We still had 15 minutes to go. I walked out. You know, it's not worth it. It's not worth anymore watching that because it is shambolic.
Yeah, it's damning. And to go back on the Kabak situation, he hasn't had the best starts. I think there's been very glimpses of promise where we can see his good defending. And the argument is that people who would not want Daniel Farkas to be sacked. And look, I still think maybe give him a couple more games. But the argument is with Farkas, you know, it's all about the idea of giving a manager time, which I like. You know, we've given Farkas time before and it's worked out, and I get that argument. But in the Premier League, you haven't got time. And if you look at it, I mean, there's some brilliant kind of ways of looking at it. Norwich have lost, obviously, their first six Premier League games. I think in terms of to get to the 40-point margin, they need to average, I don't know, they need to essentially average a mid-table season from now to the end to get to that 40-point margin. And let's say we lose another 5 games, and you know, say 10, 11 games in. I think we got Newcastle on our 12th or 13th game, and let's say Norwich have only got 1 or 2 points on the board. Norwich have to put a Europa League run together to survive, and it shows that you can't afford to have these low starts, and you know that's what's damning for me. But yeah. First half was poor, and as Cameron says there, you know, it took a 35-yard shot from Norman to get our first shot on goal, and to be honest, we didn't even look like I'm not even sure we put a cross in the box in that first half. It was shocking.
This is the thing: we're playing two up front, and we've got two wing backs. Yeah, in who was playing wing back? Williams and Aarons. I say, yeah. They've got to get forward and put crosses in. You know, we're not there to scrape a 0-0 draw. We're there to win games. You know, we're here to beat teams, not play like we are at the minute. So it's poor.
Yeah, but the second half, I guess there were positives. I think Everton will want. Look, I think it's the same situation we had Leicester a few weeks back. I think we caught our opposition on a really bad day. I don't think it was the case of Norwich playing well. I just think we caught an opposition on a bad day. Everton were losing a couple of their key players. And they were kind of pinned in their own half. I don't think Norwich created a big opportunity. I mean, in terms of those kind of big chances created, we didn't create an opportunity, but we certainly applied a little bit of pressure sporadically. Norman had a good effort from outside the box again. And there was a big opportunity which Ben Gibson got all wrong from a cross. But there were positives, you know, slight positives to take in that second half. But as you say, did Norwich really look like scoring? Like, did they create that big opportunity? I'm not so sure, mate. And then obviously, as you say, Kenny McLean kind of shoots us at the foot as we're starting to grow in the game.
Yeah, like you say, that's that Kenny McLean mistake. You can see it happening a mile off, and as soon as he loses the ball, you know what the score is. Everyone's out of position. Norwich can't defend to save their lives. We're going to concede. yeah, it's just really depressing to just even talk about it. No, I spent an absolute fortune to go there as well. It's not worth it. It's just not worth going. Like I'm looking at myself right now, thinking, thank God I'm not doing Burnley. Like I love an away day. I love going away from home in Norwich, but I'm just don't want to
Don't
anymore.
fancy going up to Burnley?
No, I just don't. I don't. Like even this morning when I was buying my Chelsea and Brentford away tickets, I was like, do I really want to go? Is it really worth it? I bought them in the end because I do love an away day, but at the same time, it's really getting to that stage, Lewis, where you're like, oh, we're not even going to win here. What's the point? What's the point?
Yeah.
It's always that in your mind that, oh, we might scrape a little point here. We might get a little 3 points at Brentford. Who knows? But yeah, it's getting to that stage though.
Yeah. It's always that, isn't it, mate? BG Swab, thanks for joining. Is Farkas a Premier League manager, and would you have him ahead of Thomas Frank? Well, certainly from the evidence and the eye test so far, you'd argue Frank's been more tactically astute in terms of changing games, and has got Brentford playing good football. And can I add, Norwich have got a better team than Brentford. It's it's simple. Yeah. Also asked, you could argue Norwich have reached their ceiling with your owners. I disagree with this. I mean, obviously, obviously new owners can help, but if you look at what Norwich have done, the issues actually aren't off the pitch. In so many Premier League campaigns, we're talking about what Norwich have done wrong off the pitch in terms of not being able to spend well and things of that nature. But Norwich have spent a lot of money. We've probably made as much signings as we can.
We're top 10 spenders in the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
And like we've done the business over the summer. We've spent money. We've done what every football fan has asked us to do. Oh, can Norwich please spend some money this summer? Right, we've done that. Now we've also got to compete on the pitch as well, and that's an on the field issue. That's simply an on the field issue. It's not up to the owners. The owners have the owners have put the money in. We've signed the players. That's done. Now it's all about what's going on the pitch, not off the pitch. Off the pitch, Norwich City are probably the best run club in the Premier League alongside Leicester, I'd say. Yeah. Leicester and Norwich are the best run clubs off the pitch in the Premier League. And now it's about the on the field issues, because there's day and light between us and whoever's in 19th in the Premier League at the minute.
It's Burnley. Yeah, it could be an interesting one. But to caveat all this, I mean, if you look at the Everton game, okay, Norwich had a decent spell in that second half. The first goal was a individual error from Kabak with the penalty, and the second goal was Kenny McLean mistake. Would you argue that maybe the system made us slightly more solid and it was just individual errors which Daniel Farkas can't help? Daniel Farkas can't stop Kenny McLean falling over his feet.
Solid though. Were we solid? We weren't solid from where I was standing. Again, like you say, individual errors, but individual errors have cost us all season.
And it's also, I guess, it's also Daniel Farkas' job to pick the best team, and for me, Gilmour would have probably been a better suit in this game.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, like you say, Billy Gilmour is his ideal formation, really. He's used to playing, sort of a five at the back formation at Chelsea. They usually play. He's kind of acclimatized to having fast defenders behind him and not too many attackers in front of him, and used to carrying the ball forward in that sort of situation. So, it did scream out for him. But at the end of the day, hopefully Saturday comes around, we do get 3 points. There's a bit more faith installed into Daniel Farkas. And hopefully we can pick up some points.
I would just love to see us get a win. I really would. But just from the balance of what I've seen at the moment, I just it was individual errors against Everton, but I'm still not convinced by the system, and I'm still not convinced we look solid, and mainly we don't look like creating any big chances, really.
No, but the only thing that's keeping me going right now, I'm thinking we might win at Burnley's, because I'm not going. So it's nothing to do with there's nothing to do with improved on the pitch or anything. It's just mainly the fact that I'm not going. So we'll probably win. I can't see it happening. At all, but we'll see.
Finally, on Everton, mate, what was the reaction? Of course, I mean, I think you said that you went, but do you know what the reaction was kind of from the Norwich fans? Because obviously where the players come out is kind of by the Norwich fans at Everton. Yeah. Do you know what the reaction kind of was around kind of at half time, maybe full time, if you were still kind of
full time I was gone. Half time, people were just annoyed, angry, disappointed, let down. That's only after half time. No, it was not a good vibe. I think, I think as soon as that second goal went in, I think a lot of people were saying Farkas out. I was at the time, but I'm happy to give him until Saturday. But yeah, no, it's not a good look, and I see fans clapping the players off as well after the game. What I've seen, I'm not a huge fan. I don't want them to boo them. Don't boo them, but clap them off if they've got a point or played well or won the game, which we've done neither of. You know what I mean? It's like absolutely shut.
No, probably lose.
If for example, I'm going to give you an example here. If let's say I'm at high school, I call my teacher a prick. He's not going to fucking, be like, yeah, well done, mate, cracking job. You know what I mean? Is it the same? Is it the same? It's a very similar situation. It's like, Norwich plays shit, so we're going to clap them off the pitch. It's like, I'm sort of fan of that. That's just me personally.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's a difficult one, isn't it? And particularly after some of the performances, fans have got a right to react how they do. And yeah, this is it. I mean, you can only say Lees Malou was kind of the only player kind of on paper who kind of looked creative, really. Obviously, no Cantwell because of personal reasons. No Rashika and Zolis came on, but it didn't really work. So lots of things to consider improving. I mean, Farkas went to that went to the full back with kind of 20 minutes to go when Norman got injured. But yeah, just lots of issues, which is really worrying. Let's move to Burnley, mate. Obviously, you're not going. Hopefully, that's a good omen. But we kind of know what we can expect from Burnley. And, if you look at Burnley, I mean, they've survived in the Premier League for many years now, maybe 4 or 5 seasons under Sean Dyche. They've always kind of been tinkering with relegation, but they've always had what you think of Burnley is kind of shithouses, aren't they? They have a solid back line with Tarkowski and me, and they get enough goals from headers and crosses with Chris Wood and Barnes up there. So you know what you're going to get with Burnley. You're going to get a physical match. How do you see it going, mate?
We're the most ideal opposition to Burnley ever.
Yeah.
We're going to get absolutely bullied off the pitch. Absolutely bullied. We can't deal with physical sides because we've got no aggression in us at all. We need to be nastier. That's how Burnley have stayed up year after year after year because, they're nasty. Teams don't like playing against them. It's a horrible place to go to, Turf Moor. If Norwich...
Burnley haven't won a home match in 13 games at Turf Moor. Along come Norwich.
People don't like going to Burnley because they know you might bullied. You're going to get, you're not going to see the best football in the world, are you? So, and it will play into their hands. It will play into their hands, and they, it's a long come Norwich. We're going to lose there. It's going to happen. They've lost 13 games, like you said, and we go there and we're going to lose. It's exactly what's going to happen. It's just, but we might win something. So,
yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it, mate? And yeah, you know exactly what you're going to get with Burnley. And we talk about what you're going to get with Burnley, but you brought it up at the top of the show, mate. This Norwich City identity. I don't know what Norwich City are going to bring. I don't know what this Norwich are going to bring to the pitch. I don't know whether it's going to be a back 5, 4, how we're going to play, whether it's going to be more direct, whether we're going to try and play through the thirds. I just don't really know what Norwich are trying to do at the moment in terms of how we play. So that's a real worry. And yeah, I think Norwich City need to sort out who they are as a team and fundamentally change that mindset, because that mindset with Farkas and his back coaching staff is still there, where, and this is what's annoyed me about some of the press conferences. There's been a lot of optimism from Farkas in terms of these performances when Norwich have lost their opening 6 games. They haven't put in a good half of football all season. And he's been optimistic. It almost sounds like Farkas, saying that he's kind of content with how it's going at the moment on the pitch. And from my observations, it's far from it.
Yeah, no, I'm fully backing you. He's exactly that. It's very, very strange. You can't, and we put this in every situation from any other Premier League club. Farkas would have been sacked by now. Any other Premier League manager wouldn't be making the comments that he's making, saying, "Oh, do you know what? We're actually playing all right. You know, we might have just lost 3-0 to Liverpool under 23s, but I'm really happy because Billy Gilmour ran with the ball 10 yards, and that was the best bit I've ever seen. That was the best bit of football I've seen us play all season. I'm really, really content with that." No other manager does that. Farkas. I'm not saying Farkas should absolutely rinse into the team, but he's got to say we were not at it today. We weren't good enough. Not saying, "Oh, do you know what? We look good in spells," and then not negatives, because there are so many negatives. He's got to look at them and be like, "All right, look, hang on, there isn't something right." I feel like he's too proud. Daniel Farkas is a very, very proud man. He doesn't like to change things up because he kind of like, I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. And look, even throughout Daniel Farkas' best years at the club, we've always looked at his press conferences, and you kind of never know what you're going to get with Farkas in his press conferences, because although Norwich have had some magical seasons, he has come out with some very weird comments. And one of the weird ones that he said a couple of weeks ago is that he expected, or the goal was for Norwich to have 3 points from their opening 6 games. That mentality, I said the whole point of Norwich City signing all these players and transitioning is to change that mentality. But when you've got the manager, your spearhead, coming up with the idea that Norwich should only have 3 points from their opening 6 games is wrong, and then that mentality stinks. And you look at Brentford. Brentford have had a couple of tough games to start the season. They're on 8 points.
And not only that,
I don't know that mentality.
Brentford's mentality as well is absolutely spot on. Ivan Toney came out in a press conference. He even said we're going to try and win the Premier League. That should be every team's mentality, because you're not in the league to sit mid-table. You're not in the league just sit right. You're in the league to win it. Every team's in there to win it. No matter if you're part of the top 6 or you're part of the rest. You're in it. You're in it to win it. That's just how it is. Okay, that's the simple foundations of why you're in there. Okay, so Farkas, do you know what? We'll take three points from opening 6. Like, right, so what's the end goal? Because Brentford want to go win they probably won't. Definitely won't.
You like to see it.
Yeah, but their mentality is so strong that they're giving it a very, very good go. Yeah, whereas Norwich rolling every time.
Yeah. So Toney is worse than Pukki. Well, with all these debates about individual, all these debates with individual players, though, it always turns out to the playing style. If we have Teemu Pukki and our game plan is to put crosses in the box, Pukki's going to be poor. But if you play to his strengths, he's going to be good. And if you look at Pukki's track record, he's still a better striker than Tovey. It's just about playing to his strengths. Although Pukki has looked a little bit off the boil in recent weeks. That's definitely
Premier League goals. I'm going to go have a look actually. Who's got the most Premier League goals so far this season out of Ivan Toney and Teemu Pukki? So,
Pukki's got 2. Has Toney scored 2?
I'm just trying to have a look.
No, he got 1 against Villa.
Toney. I'll just type in Ivan Toney on Google and see what comes up with. How many goals this season? 2 goals, 2 assists. So he's got 2 assists. Respectable. A team that's actually going to win games, not Norwich City, where they're literally not even going to create chances. Pukki's still scored 2 goals. I think Ivan Toney's a fantastic striker. I think you literally cannot put him on the same page as Teemu Pukki at the minute. Teemu Pukki has done it, since he's been scoring for fun since he's come to England. Also, maybe not in Scotland. Scotland doesn't count, a relevant league. Ivan Toney has done it for Peterborough season, and now again, become Pukki, but he's just got a bit more overall game about him. I think Toney's a bit of a tapping merchant.
I like that. All I'm going to say, Doeke, is I hope the Burnley game isn't as bad as the connection, because the connection is been going a little bit, but hopefully it comes back stronger and we'll be all right. I can just about hear you, mate. It'll be all right. Alex disagrees with you. Toney is miles clear of Pukki. If we had Toney instead of Pukki last season, we beat the championship points record. I mean, Pukki, to be fair, Pukki did miss some big chances last year, I think he was
No, Lewis, I disagree.
Sprinkling.
I agree with that. Last season, our system was perfect for Teemu Pukki.
Yeah.
It was perfect for Teemu Pukki. not for Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney's an absolute tap-in merchant and fitted Brentford's system fantastically. He did fit in Brentford's system fantastically because they needed someone just to be there, be big, and put balls in the back of the net. And Ivan Toney can do that inside the 6-yard box and maybe edging back to the penalty area. Anywhere behind that, I reckon Toney can hit a barn door, but I haven't seen him shoot further than spots, so I can't really comment. But Timu Pukki is ideal for Norwich, as is Toney for Brentford. But I think overall, as an overall striker, I think Pukki offers more.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking at Burnley, I mean, Norman is probably the one bright spark, and he's probably going to be a defining player for Norwich in terms of, stopping the play. I think Norwich are probably going to play with a back five, but even if we play with, I mean, we've looked at the back five situation and kind of our conclusions, Doeke, have been we haven't actually looked particularly any more solid. There's still individual mistakes. Maybe Norwich have been slightly more solid, I guess, with the back five, ever so slightly, but that's also, as a result, kind of stopped our chances being created. In terms of the balance between defense and attack, I'm not sure whether the back five offers that. But Norman could be critical in helping that defense, and he's got a good shot on him as well, which will be really interesting. How do you see the Burnley game kind of going in terms of formation and personnel? Do you think it will be with that back five, and what would you do heading into this? Because I'd really want to see that back four go in and just Norwich just try and bring what they've got to the table, and bring that identity back.
Well, I'd do is start 4-2-3-1. I'll start Crawling goal, Omobama Deli alongside Kabak. I think Kabak is, out of the three, he's the best to have a bad bunch. Omobama Deli is our best centre half of the club at the minute. Wow. Left back, Giannoulis. I thought Williams absolutely fucking woeful against Everton. He was awful. And that's an emphasis on awful. Brandon Williams was shocking. I think he played right wing back, didn't he? Or did he play left wing back? Can't exactly remember.
He likes to cut in a lot, doesn't he? Back onto his right foot. He doesn't like to kind of whip it in with his left foot.
Yeah, left wing back, and you're playing left wing back. You've got to get forward out of the defence cuts in every single time. I don't get it. So yeah, Giannoulis has got to start. Max Aarons has to start. I don't Barley Mumba. I thought Barley Mumba had a stink against Liverpool. Didn't rate him at all. He's not Premier League ready. And look, I get he's a young lad. I get you've got to show him a bit of care. But we're in a position where we've got to be strong. We've got to be ruthless. Okay, so we start our best player. Max Aarons is our best right back. He's got to start, but he also needs to improve because he's been absolutely woeful again this season. It's coming to my. I'm thinking now should be a cashed in on Max Aarons instead of Buendia. Because I'm thinking we should have. I think a right back's a lot easier to replace than an irreplaceable player like Buendia. And then
you obviously want to cash him before they get too old as well to have that value.
Or when they have a run of poor performances, which Max Aarons is very, very close to doing. The two centre midfielders, I think, has got Billy Gilmore and Norman sitting in front of the defence. Norman will be, and I think Billy Gilmore is that sort of driving force in the midfield to connect the defence to the back, which we are going to need. And it's sort of like what McLean was in the Championship season. I don't think McLean's good enough for the Premier League, personally.
Not first team.
You've got to be ruthless. You have to be ruthless. And in Penn role, I want to see Todd Cantwell. I know he's back in training today, and I hope for personal reasons he's been having over the past few weeks. I hope they're all resolved, and I hope he's all good. I want to see him playing at number 10. I want to see him come back in because he is technically our best player. Two wingers, Zolis Rashica. Get at Burnley. They without their new signing, he scored that brilliant volley by the way at a week. Leicester. I think they're without him, so their fullbacks they're going to be quite light. Get at them with pace because we've got to be quick against Burnley because if we're slow, we're not going to break them down, are we? We're not going to break them down at all. And in that front, for me, you got to have someone a bit more physical than Pukki, I think. So I will be after. I'd go with Josh Sargent. I think. Just to get past Ben Mee and Tarkowski, you're going to need a bit of Josh Sargent, I think.
Yeah, you know what, Doeke? On a very rare occasion, I think I completely agree with you there. Completely agree with you. Take it to them. The back fives, I think, worked. I think we saw against Everton there was lots of situations where we'd pass it around the back fine. We get to the opposition's half and then we're like, oh bugger, oh shit, what do we do with it now? And then just launch it forward. I think with those players, it gives us a better balance, connecting up the play. And as long as players do their defensive work great, then I think that will help. And I like Omar inclusion as well. Alex would go with a 5-2-2-1 formation, keep with the back five. Aaron's Kabak, Andy Gibson, so dropping Grant Hanley, with Dimmy as well, and then Norman, Gilmore, Cantwell, Sergeant Pookie. Yeah, I mean, I like that. It's all about knowing what kind of what system to go for. That
for me, they're too light in the midfield with that formation. That's the only thing. I think playing Norman and Gilmore together, they've got energy, they've got legs. There is a bit of physicality there. But playing two in midfield against, we are just going to be overrun. Obviously, we're going to have five at the back, but defensive areas are still going to be there. So better. I think playing two in midfield, we're going to struggle to see that sort of connection.
Would you not argue that formation you have those quite light?
No, because you've got the number 10 in there. You've got the number 10, and I think the number 10. That's what would be missing, a number 10 midfield to kind of, because obviously you've got the two midfielders behind them who can just sit. But yeah, Wood and Vidra will hurt you. Cheers. We know. We're all.
Yeah. We're not looking forward to it, but I think that for Daniel Farkas, this is season defining. Will he get sacked if he loses the game? Probably not. But regardless of that, Norwich, as I spoke about in terms of that record, they really can't afford to put on a run. Already now to get 40 points, Norwich have to put kind of a mid-table points tally together. I think Norwich have to get, average a certain amount of points. And if they did that from the start of the season, they'd finish, around 12th, 13th. So they've got to start getting points, and Farkas got to sort things out quickly now, and I mean really quickly. Doeke, thanks for coming on the live stream, mate. Any final thoughts, predictions, anything like that, mate?
Just hope we can win. Just really hope we can win. That's all I've got. But no, thank you for letting me on, Lewis. Really do appreciate it, and fingers crossed we can win at Burnley. For Daniel Farkas' sake, as much as anyone, because I do want him to stay. But again, if he loses on Saturday, he's Farkas out.
Yeah, very interesting. Are we not going with any fancy predictions? Not a Jordan Hugill 90th minute winner as the Man City game, mate?
Oh, okay. Lewis, you know what? I'm going to be really boring.
No, come on, Doeke. I need this positive energy. I want you to feed me positivity.
I don't know. Oh, okay. No, I can't. We're going to draw 0-0. Drawing 0-0 is the best I can come up with right now. But we're going to keep the clean sheet.
That is a positive.
We're going to keep the clean sheet away from home. Yeah, I can't give you more positivity than a 0-0 draw against Burnley. I mean, whoever's travelling up, you're going to have a boring time if that's true. But none of my score predictions have come true, so hopefully we do win now. So
yeah. I love that, mate. Doeke, thanks for coming on. And we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. Thank you to everyone who's joined the live stream. And let's hope we're talking about a really, really good moment for Norwich. And fundamentally, the result, of course, is massive. But I just want to see a performance which looks more controlled and balanced. I mean, obviously, we need to get results, but I just want to see a performance as well, which kind of matches that as well. There we go from Alex. 2-0 Norwich, back the boys. That's the kind of positivity that we should be on.
I wish I had it in me at the minute, but after going Everton, going Arsenal, going Man City, doing all the home games, all the cup games so far, I've lost positivity after Everton. I've just lost it all. But
yeah, it's an interesting one. But Alex, if you're going to Turf Moor, bring that positivity and to all the fans as well. And regardless of, no matter your criticism, and this is something I think that's come out quite a lot, regardless of whether you think Lucas Rook should or should not be in the starting 11, you can have all this pub talk and talk on social media, and for me as well, regardless of whether I disagree with a team or a manager, as soon as that ball's kicked, I'm backing the boys. And that's what everyone needs to do.
All the way, 100%. You back the boys, you cheer them on, you sing your songs. You hope for the best. You never want to go into a game losing a game. You want to win every single game. But obviously, because of the performances we've seen, it's very, very hard to back the team during the week where you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to lose again this weekend. But as soon as that ball's kicked, as soon as you're there, you're up.
And that's the magic of football, isn't it? Sometimes all it takes is like a slide tackle to get in, and you're like, oh, you're on your edge of your seat now, and you start to have that hope, and it's that hope that probably kills you, mate.
It's the hope that's killed me the past 6 Premier League games. It's absolutely yes.
And the 19 Premier League games, or however many it was you did before as well.
I don't want to talk about it. Oh, yeah. Basically, apart from Man City and Newcastle, it was pretty, and Leicester and Bournemouth was pretty woeful. Again, that's it with Norwich. It's the hope that kills. Yeah, we've gone up, we've spent money, the hope's there, and then it comes crashing down after 6 games. But fingers crossed.
Yeah, what a life it is to be a Norwich fan. Anti's joined the live stream. Thanks for joining. We're just about to finish, but for me, not conceding 3 goals in every weekend. We're setting the bar high here. And but no, to be honest, yeah, they need to be better defensively, and that's important. But thank you for watching the live stream, guys. We've really appreciated it. And yeah, let's hope we're talking about a win against Burnley. Thank you, Doeke. Subscribe to Dooke's channel. It will be in the description. And yeah, we'll see you later.